So today is all about Q&As. You've been sending me questions, and thank you so much for those. And I want to try to answer them to the best of my ability. And let's just see where we go with this, and if we can have some good conversations going. So most moms want to know about breastfeeding in the beginning is how often are babies supposed to drink at the breast in the early weeks. So early weeks is a big adjustment. Baby is small and you need to get the hang of breastfeeding. Now in the first 3 days before your milk comes in, this might be as often as hourly, and it seldom actually is 4 hourly, which you sometimes might think. So really frequent feeding. And sometimes there's even some longer gaps, but most often it is quite frequent. Once your milk is in, most babies need to feed about 1 to 2 hourly, with the occasional longer stretch between feeds. This might seem like a bit much, but remember that this pattern ensures that you do not develop breast problems and that your baby has maximal nutritional and immune boosting advantages, which is super relevant these days, right? It also takes into account the size of baby's stomach. So in the beginning, baby's really got a tiny stomach, doesn't have a massive capacity to hold a lot of milk. Now, how can I know if my baby has had enough to drink? Many moms wish that their breasts were see-through with millimeter markers on it, but relax. You really need to trust in nature. If baby has energy and is steadily growing, even if it's not according to what is on the growth chart, and if your baby has 5 or 6 wet or soiled nappies each 24 hours, that is all the proof you need. So you just observe your baby. A content baby has all of those, and if a baby is not getting enough, it will definitely let you know. And this is all when you have a healthy baby. If you have a premature baby or a sick baby, then obviously it might be a bit different and you might have to stimulate a little bit, but that is an occasion where I would like you to get some specialist advice. So now today we're focusing on the normal healthy baby, and yeah, as you are figuring out life with your newborn. So there was also a question, how do you know if you are overfeeding your baby? So let's just quickly talk about the whole feeding mechanism, because if you understand that, then you also learn to trust more your milk supply and the demand of the baby and the need. And it will help you to relax more about it, of overfeeding or underfeeding. So how it works is your baby is going to suck on your breast, and then something will register in your brain that will say, hey, I need to produce milk. So if there's no sucking happening, there won't be breast milk production. That is our body's feedback mechanism. Isn't it amazing? And then you can imagine the more a baby is going to suck as it grows and the need intensifies, the more milk you will produce. So, and a baby is very capable to stop feeding when it's had enough. So if you trust this cycle with your body producing milk and baby demanding, that's why we also really advocate demand feeding, then there's no need to stress if baby's getting too much or too little. When it starts getting complicated is when we interfere with this natural cycle. If we start adding bottle feeds, if we start messing up with this beautiful system that our body has. So that is why we really say exclusive breastfeeding. Just let a baby dictate how much it needs, and it will definitely stop when the stomach is full. And at times you might feel like, hey, my baby's never full and it just wants to suck all the time. But that is actually really amazing, because your body is regulating for more milk production if baby is going to need more. So you might have some of those days. So my advice is to trust the demand and supply circle that is going on between you and your baby, and then there's no stress of overfeeding or underfeeding. If baby's happy in between, go to bed, sleep well in between, is growing, then you know all is fine. So no measuring, no bottles, all of that. Hope that helps. Okay. Then another question that is linked to this, I've tried to group the questions that I tackle a certain topic. So now we're talking about how much and the milk demand. So another question that was asked is, do you have to wake your baby up for every feeding time? Does there need to be a rigid feeding schedule? Well, hopefully you know the answer now after my explanation. And no, you don't have to wake a baby up. You don't have to have a rigid feeding schedule. Again, remember, this is if you have a healthy baby and not a premature baby whatsoever. Babies will let you know when they are hungry. They will cry if you leave them for too long. So best is to be in tune with your baby, to follow the cues. So before it starts crying too much, you can see a baby starts waking up and it starts looking around and showing with his mouth, start looking for breast. Well, that is the opportune time to get baby onto the breast. So no rigid schedules, rather feed on demand, get in tune with your baby. And remember, every baby is different. So we at Sister Lillian Center are all about individuality, and we are all individuals. We're all different, we eat different. So remember, you're going to have to get to know your baby. So watch and observe your baby. Some of them are going to be long and lazy suckers. Others are going to be fast and efficient eaters, just as we humans are. So best for those first weeks is to really observe and read your baby and get to know Baba and learn to trust your intuition. So that is our other main thing that we live by at Sister Lillian Center and Sensitive Midwifery, is just learn to trust your mother instinct and follow Mother Nature. And most of the time, that is all you need. So no rigid schedules. We are against that here on this platform. All right. Then let's talk a little bit about milk supply. We carry on, go a bit deeper. Do I need to drink more to make enough milk? All right, so it's vital to keep one's fluid intake when breastfeeding. Soon you will notice that it's a very thirsty business. So whenever you're feeding, have a cup of tea or water next to you that you can also drink. But it's quite normal that you forget to drink, and same applies with eating. So be mindful of that you eat and drink enough, that you hydrate. Most of the problems is that when moms start getting tired or undernourished. Babies most of the time fine. So make sure you look after yourself. Let everyone spoil you with good foods, healthy nutrition. And I also just want to throw in something on diet in here. Rather diversify, eat a lot of a healthy variety of diet, and trying to cut out all sorts of foods. But taken that we want the baseline of your diet to be healthy. Obviously wholesome foods, fruit, vegetables, get some of your protein, healthy carbs. Breastfeeding really likes healthy carbs. Healthy carbs, I think of something like sweet potatoes. Some vegetables are high carby. So yeah, feed yourself well and drink enough. And then someone was asking, when do you know your milk is drying up? So that is also really a concern for moms, is that you don't have enough milk most of the time, especially if baby keeps crying for some reason or battling the breast. Again, the bottom line is the more baby sucks, the more you spend time with baby, skin to skin, let baby suck, look after yourself, the more the breast production will flow smoothly. If you really feel like, hey, I need, I'm not sure, but I don't think I've got milk, then just go to a lactation consultant or an expert. If you've tried everything, don't try to fight or figure it all out on your own. Get some good advice there. So this will be more an individual case to look into things on how we can improve milk supply and so forth. So yeah, but the less a baby's going to suck, the milk supply will go down. That is just how it works. So if a baby grows up and start eating solids more, say a year and older, we remember the first year of life, baby's main food is milk. That makes it grow. But if it grows older and it still wants to suck on the breast, but it sucks in the mornings or at night only, obviously your milk production is going to go down because it doesn't suck as much anymore. Hope I'm making sense. Now, how do I know that my baby's really drinking and not just sucking at the breast? Okay, that's a good question, but before I say that, remember that breastfeeding It's also called nursing. It's way more than feeding the baby, right? It's also very much an interaction, a bonding time, a nourishing time. So sometimes babies do need breast just for other reasons than mere food. But proper drinking and the proper latch, that's obviously very important. So we always want to ensure that baby is latching properly. There shouldn't be pain or hurt on your nipples when breastfeeding shouldn't be so painful. So what you can do is just listen out for that sound of swallowing, and that is quite distinctive. You will also notice that the movement of the jawline as far as up to the temples, and you will be able to feel it below the chin. So just observe your baby and listen to that beautiful sound. And then there's a question that I thought will fit in this grouping. I'm breastfeeding my 5-week-old baby boy exclusively. Well done. Why does he make a clicking sound at times when breastfeeding? Then it also appears as if he's chewing my nipple. I assume he does that with his tongue. I unlatch him then, put him back on the breast, but he continues to do that for a while. Then he eventually stops and sucks as usual. He's growing well and feeding well. No weight loss noted. He doesn't have a lip or tongue tie. Well done for doing for exclusive breastfeeding your baby, and it sounds to me that you've figured it out quite well. You've figured out what to do already. You just want some assurance. So I just want to say, hey, what you figured out is quite right, and baby's growing well and feeding well. So that is fantastic. I think if a baby starts just playing with the nipple, once they're satisfied and full already, that is when we can really start hurting your nipples. So that is all you want to be aware of. So if your nipples are starting to hurt, cracked nipples, that is then you can maybe do the unlatching part that you're doing and not letting play with your nipples. But remember, as I said, sometimes breastfeeding is just a bit of a comforting thing, and he might just have some dessert. So if you can handle that and your nipples are fine, don't worry about it. I hope that helps. Another question, thank you. Is it normal for breastfed babies to be fussy with gas and cramps and spit up curdled milk once the curdled milk is out? The baby seems to calm down. Once the milk is out, it seems to calm down. And what can I do to minimize this? So yes, by all means, it's normal. Babies are going to bring up milk. Get used to it. Have always cloths with you. Protect yourself sometimes, and get used to babies bringing up milk. That's what I do. Sometimes we can get afraid of that and wonder if they're sick or if they're not getting enough milk. But again, rule of thumb is if baby's growing, if baby's healthy, thriving, then this is all part of the normal category. So we're trying to really help you understand what is normal. So it's normal for baby to regurgitate. All right. Don't start running to all sorts of medicine and blame baby and say it's a reflux baby. That is quite extreme before that happens. So most of babies, you will get quite a lot of that, as you put it, curdled milk bringing it up. So, and it often comes together with a wind. So it might just, be a bit of a windy mission there, and then together with the wind, the milk can come up. How you can minimize it if your baby's a very, one of those full-on drinkers. They drink fast and they just want to get on with it. It's not your lazy drinker, but your full-on active drinker. Is to just let them take a break, upright, help with the gas to come out, and just them to slow down and then drink a little bit more. So maybe that is something that you can do to help your baby. So just look at your individual situation, your type of baby, what kind of drinker it is, and see if you can, if you figure something out to minimize it. Use your intuition, your mother instinct. Figure it out. You try things. All right. So there's no real rules in this game. So hope that helps. But remember, it's quite normal for baby to bring up a lot of milk. Okay, where am I? Alrighty, I have big breasts and I'm worried that I will smother my baby. Ruth has had that thought and Ruth had that experience. And please stay active in the comments if you say, if you've got a tip for another mother or whatever. So really don't worry about your baby's ability to breathe. They mostly manage quite well while they're feeding, and you don't really have to hold your breast away from the nose. Babies' nostrils, they flare, maybe if you've noticed if they suck, at the sides, and they even have a little, like, the way it's made, you know, there's a little easy way out for the in and out for the air. So if they really cannot breathe, they automatically will pull away, because obviously they're going to smother themselves, so that will just be their reaction. So breast size, also remember, has got nothing to do with milk production. So on the other side of the coin, if you have very small breasts, that's also not a reason that your breast feeding won't be successful. So breast size, not an indicator if you can or cannot breastfeed. So all size go, just go for it. Okay, my breasts are producing milk normally, but my baby is struggling to suck on them. I'm not sure if it's the nipple or what causes my baby to cry every time she's sucking. Can I use a breast pump and feed her on a cup? All right, so your breasts are producing milk normally, but it seems that your baby is struggling. So let's just split this question now, because it can be a few things. And again, maybe also if you're really wondering, go find a specialist to look at your individual situation. But something like being fussy and battling the breast is a common thing. Tip for that is to not wait for baby to be too hungry before you feed him or her. So watch for the clues. If you start seeing a baby's awake and starting to look around, that is a beautiful time to get baby onto the breast. A baby that's crying, that's upset, that's got that ugly, hungry cry, that one is going to be difficult to get onto the breast. So then first, calm baby down. A calm baby will suck better on the breast. All right, so that's number one. Then I don't know where you are in your journey. So it could be that your breasts are really, really tight and gorged. That could be on day 2 or day 3 when your milk is coming in. Then your boobies are very tight, and that can really be difficult for baby to latch properly then. And we just need to get through those days then, all right? So yes, what you can do then is express a little bit of milk just before the feed. I would just use some warm cloths and manually express it to relieve the actual tension on the breast, so that it gets a bit easier for baby to latch properly. Remember, if you're going to express or pump before baby's going to latch, that is almost overstimulating your breast. So, because the more we're stimulating breast, the more milk production you will have. So if you're suffering with engorgement those days, milks come in, boobies are very full, don't express on top of feeding, because it's going to make things worse. Remember, your baby needs to suck and relieve this. So your baby is the best solution for very engorged breast, all right? And by all means, try baby to just latch itself. So don't get confused with expressing, put it in a cup and so forth. Then we get a bit of confusion for the baby. So if you can, by all means, it's just let baby suck by itself and relieve whatever is going on in your breast. Baby's the best remedy. But yeah, if you have a more specific case, you're welcome to reach out directly or get hold of a midwife or a lactation consultant that is specialized to help you out with that. So I hope that was helpful. All right. I've heard that babies get oral thrush and that affects feeding, but how will I know if this is the case? So oral thrush, if baby feeds with difficulty, you can examine the tongue, the gums, and the inside for cheeks for raised white patches. But obviously do this before you're going to breastfeed, as after a feed it might be just milk deposits. So you can treat with an antifungal oral gel, or just get someone to look at you, at your situation, and see if you also need to be treated. Homeopathic calendula tablets will help too. All right. So the thrush, you can give it from mom to baby and baby to mom, so you also might need to be treated for that. Then another little niggle is, if my baby gets suck blisters, should I stop breastfeeding? I hope you figured that one out by now, and that you did not stop breastfeeding. So suck blisters is really from the, hard sucking and lovely boobie, and it's quite normal. Babies they don't cry from them, are they? They're not in pain. So baby's quiet, happy, carry on sucking. I would not stop at all. Don't stop breastfeeding. Carry on. All right. When will my baby stop feeding at night? All right. So there is again the individuality. Babies differ markedly on this score. So whatever, there's no rule for this again. So night feeds are nutritionally superior, and babies often feed more easily because moms are more relaxed. So just get that. Night feeding is going to happen more. And because you relax, environment is peaceful, that is when baby maximize on, hey, get good milk flow, good nutrition in. So my tip is really to learn to lie down while you breastfeed. Don't get all up and make the whole house awake and all the lights on, but learn to have baby where you can stay being in sleeping mode and doze off side to side to get comfortable. So yeah, carry on with night feeding. It might carry on for quite a long time. So you go and figure out what is the journey with your baby, but don't force them to stop feeding at night. They're going to need that. Babies are they are designed for frequent feeding. So if you need some more tips on also sleep issues and how to figure out baby sleep patterns, please look at our Sleep Like a Baby course. There's so many resources, helpful tips to help you manage the night sleep thing. All right. So how long will my baby keep breastfeeding for? So not only night feeding, but overall. So just to let you know that babies are designed by nature default to drink for anything between 2 and 4 years. Yeah, that is long, hey? And in fact, until they self-wean, so they can decide when they have had enough, they can just stop themselves. It doesn't mean that they will suckle as frequently as when they were small. So often from about 15 months on, they have fewer feeds each day, and each feed is quite quick as they manage to empty the breast in a far shorter time. So it gets way less intense, Although it seems like a lot of work and effort, breastfeeding is actually less time consuming if you consider feed preparation, less time spent caring for ill children, and ease of comforting. So remember, breast milk is packed with antibodies, and it's so good for baby's immune system. So get that breast milk in as long as possible. That's our advice, all right? Then another question with breast milk production. I would like to know why or how can I make my breast not to have milk again after a year of not breastfeeding? Well, I think that is quite rare because remember, as a baby sucks or a child sucks, a toddler sucks, that is how your body knows, hey, I need to produce milk. So as soon as that sucking stops, after a while it will settle and you won't produce milk anymore. So if there's no milk breast stimulation happening at all and you still have milk production, I would rather go check that out, and maybe you can get something to help you stop the milk. So I would go get some expert advice on that one. And then another interesting one. When will my menstrual cycle return since I've been breastfeeding for 1 year and 6 months? That is the bonus from breastfeeding, right? We're not menstruating. So what happens if a baby sucks frequently? The hormone that keeps the breastfeeding up high, going is on a high level in your body, and that suppresses ovulation and therefore menstruation. Okay, so it is a natural family planning method given that you exclusive breastfeed. Right, so it's frequent, it's happening. Then as soon as the frequency of breastfeeding goes down, obviously your hormone levels might go down too, and then we don't know when you might ovulate, because remember, ovulation happens before menstruation. So you first ovulate, then you're going to get menstruation. So remember that, so you can fall pregnant even if you haven't menstruated yet. And that's why you're quite careful with contraceptives and being aware. So that is the one thing. And then as soon as your hormonal levels have balanced again, you will get your menstrual cycle back. But that comes more with less frequent feeding and so forth. And that might differ from one woman to another woman. I would love to hear in the comments when you start menstruating again, after how long. That would be interesting to know. Okay, so I hope you're all going strong here with me and that you find it interesting. I'm just first looking at all the questions that we received beforehand, and then I will attend to the questions that are coming in right now. What is the best way to breastfeed twins? Okay, twin feeding. If you are that lucky mommy that had a twin, congratulations. And also strongs for you, because it means a lot of extra time and patience and effort. So well done on that. Okay, so for breastfeeding for twins exclusively, meaning only breast milk by you, is really possible. But remember, it's going to obviously take longer than nursing a single baby. So you may need to clear your schedule a bit in the early months. Really that's what you're going to do, breastfeed. Your body is more than capable to make enough milk for your twins, your multiples. You'll need to take into account the same considerations as for single breastfeeding, although it will take longer and you might not feed both babies at once. Remember, these babies are also individuals. The one might want to drink a bit more often than the other, so it's really going to be intense in getting to know your different babies and feed them on demand. It's quite possible, though, to feed your multiples at the same time. And there are different positions, and I would really advise you to get some advice for that. The one is to stack one baby under each arm and let them lie. The other is to let them lie on top of each other, double-decker style, each at a different breast. So remember that I said breastfeeding, especially nutrition at night. So at night, just get comfortable in a position with pillows that you can stay snug in bed and still doze off. It will take practice, but I'm sure you'll get a hang of it, and then you can also let us know how that goes. But overall, breastfeeding directly is really quicker and easier than trying to express milk on top of that and then feed a baby. So if you can just get that right, I think that will save you time. It might be good for you to get into a routine to just help you to cope with all of that. But just remember again of the individuality of those babies. So I hope you're gonna get this one right. All right. So let's see what other questions I've got here. More questions. Okay, after we are done with exclusive breastfeeding, trying to introduce them to a formula or family foods becomes difficult. So how do we go about that one too? So after we're done with the exclusive breastfeeding, trying to introduce them to a formula or family foods becomes difficult. All right, so let's just talk a little bit about exclusive breastfeeding and moving on from there to introducing solids. First and foremost, the first year of life, babies need milk. Milk is what makes them grow. The introduction of solids in the beginning is more for developmental purposes, the taste and the structure of things, texture of things. So keep focusing on milk. And then introduce one food at a time. Don't try to feed them too much at a time, and follow baby's clues. So first of all, start with something like a yellow vegetable, some pumpkin, butternut, or squashed banana, and slowly introduce a different food. And do it in the mid-morning or mid-afternoon and so forth. So be careful of what you introduce to baby, now frequent. But yeah, every baby's and journey is going to be a bit different in that. But I love to explore and try out things. So you can just put something in front of them and then let them play with that a little bit. But don't be too stressed if they're not eating. Again, your child will probably guide you in this regard. So it can be difficult, but also don't overstress about it. All right. and let baby just grow from the milk the first year of life. And I'm sure you will develop into a good feeding routine for baby. Okay, how does food and liquids affect your milk supply? All right, so we can talk a little bit about that too. I did say earlier that it's super important that you feed yourself properly. So especially in the beginning, the first weeks, you are going to be hands-on, full-on, and you might forget to feed yourself properly. So definitely keep up your diet can affect your milk supply. And again, that is something that you're going to also figure out for yourself. So listen to your body. But rule of thumb, make sure you drink loads of liquid, lots of water, lots of rooibos tea, all those things. That is number one essential. So don't forget to drink. Then don't go onto any diet when you're breastfeeding. Don't try to lose weight because now baby's out and you want to get your birth weight, pre-pregnancy birth weight back. No diets, okay? If you're going to breastfeed long enough, then it will get you back into shape quick. So exclusive breastfeeding is the best way to lose your weight, okay? Don't think of diet. Think of wholesome food, feeding yourself well. The more variety, the better. Don't cut too many food groups out that you start eating a very bland diet that might make you even more bloated and so forth. However, if you find that something is really upsetting a baby, and some moms, will have different stories about that. It's like, hey, dark chocolate, no go, gives my baby cramps. Or if you've had a very spicy meal and maybe you're not used to having spicy food, that might upset baby. So listen to the clues. So observe your baby and adjust. Okay, so. But don't be over hang up on diets and what to eat and what to need to eat. If your baseline is healthy with a good variety, eat a rainbow, make sure you've got healthy snacks at hand. Be prepared for food because you're going to get hungry, that you don't snack on stuff you shouldn't be snacking on, all right? Also, when you get tired and right eating can get out of the window, so be very aware of that. Some planning goes a long way. I hope that was answering your question there. Let's see if my team is helping me here, if there's more questions. All right, and then I kept the best or the worst for last. All right, so there was a question of, should I get the COVID-19 vaccination? A very relevant question, very current. Everyone is wondering whether that's now the question. Should I or should I not get vaccinated? Even if you're not pregnant, just as an individual, that's a question. Now, I've posted an article that I found that I thought explains it quite well where we are in it. But the problem with any pregnancy, breastfeeding related study issue when it comes to medicine, vaccinations, is that we don't really test on it because there's a baby at risk. So there are no hard test evidence done yet on safety of it. So basically, anyway, we are in one massive human experiment with the vaccine for all of us. We haven't got long-term data. We are assuming a lot of things on safety of this vaccine, on techniques from what science has developed and how other vaccines works and so forth. But with every vaccine there is side effects, and we all know that, okay? So I would say it is really your individual choice, and be very careful. I would say be careful. I personally think that I jump on conclusions quite fast these days. Like all of a sudden it's all safe for pregnant women, and we haven't got the long-standing results. We don't know long-term effects and impacts. And if you are one of those that have had a vaccination, then I would suggest there are some initiatives online that you can give feedback, and that is sort of where we are doing research, is getting feedback from women that has been vaccinated. And the more feedback we get on possible complications, side effects, or none of that, the more we will get informed. But up to date, no science to back up safety. I need to tell you that. It's just more on good assumptions, assuming that what we know about vaccines, that should be safe, and so forth. So If you are not at risk, in a risk group, if you're a healthy woman, again, my main advice is to keep focusing on your own immune system, keeping it healthy, look after yourself by eating right, get enough rest, get some immune support, all those kind of precautions. That still applies. A vaccine is not the exit of a healthy lifestyle, and keeping your own immune system strong. All right. So I can't say yes, get vaccinated, no, don't get vaccinated. There's just no clear answer. I would say be careful. All right. That is my advice. So that's going to be your individual choice. Okay, so I think that was me for today. I've tried to really answer all your questions. Thanks for engaging, for posting them to me. Let us continue to support one another as womanhood, as societies, to make breastfeeding the only way. If you're one of the mommies that have been battling with breastfeeding, it's been a difficult journey. Also, well done. It's not always like what the images makes it to be, all amazing and romantic and oxytocin flowing. It can be hard. At times it's better. Then you can get a hard time, a good time and a bad time again. But just don't give up. Keep believing in it. Remember that you are investing in your child's future for long term. There's so many benefits. And if you want to learn more about breastfeeding, just some more practicalities, please sign up for our course and keep learning. But the best is your baby is going to teach you and you're going to figure it out. So don't underestimate your own mother instinct and your intuition and figuring it all out. Wish you all the best, and yay for breastfeeding awareness. Keep spreading the good news. Super proud of you. All right, take care.